it's Rhianna. Welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be talking about budgeting and how I do it. So I want to start off this video by saying that this is the very beginning process of Jonathan and I attempting to get out of debt. So I am not like super well, educated in this. I've read a little bit. I've followed some people on Instagram. This may not be the proper way to do it. And I'm still in the learning process. So as I grow and everything, obviously things may change, but this is where we're at for right now. I posted on my Instagram and asked if y'all would be interested in seeing a video about this. And I feel like everybody except for like one person said yes. So this is what I'm doing. I will say it is a little bit intimidating to share your personal finances out in the world because they are personal and you can somewhat feel a little bit judged whenever you're putting out like your debt information and how much money you make, things like that. So I would really appreciate it that if you're watching this video that you don't come for me. Like, I don't need to hear about how, we shouldn't have a credit card for this or whatever. Like, this is what's gonna work for us, and I may adapt it and I may learn something different and I may change it, but this is where we're at for right now today. So Jonathan and I have always been pretty good like budgeting in general, as far as like paying our bills on time. We have all our things set up on automatic payments, but we're not saving any money really. Like, we save a little bit and then we'll have a good chunk and we'll end up spending it, whether it's an emergency purchase like a new washing machine. Hello. We spend money sometimes that we shouldn't. I feel like everybody does that. And you get into this head space of, well, you only have one life to live and, you're not gonna take it with you when you die, blah, blah, blah. All those things are true, but I feel like there should be a happy medium. And what Jonathan and I would like is like what our goals are financially are to get rid of all of our like stupid debt, get rid of all of our like credit card debt, and so that we can start having money for fun debt. Like if you watched my vlog from over the weekend, I was saying how we want to be able to buy like a mule or like a boat maybe. I don't even know if we're gonna buy a boat, but you know what I'm saying. Let's take a look at our like month-to-month budget. And as most of you know, I use an Erin Condren planner. I keep all of our bills and everything in here. So let me just pan this down. Okay, so this is my yearly calendar. It has all of our bills with dots and what the bills are. And then I also have here in the back, I believe, yeah. So I have our income listed up here. We try not to rely on my income much at all because it's very sporadic. But I did include basically $300 a month because I almost always make at least $300, and then Jonathan's income plus his monthly bonus. So I have all of our bills listed here, the date that they're due, how much they are. I have our monthly gas and groceries as well because those fluctuate, and then I have the like subscription type ones listed over here. Now the last time I tallied all this up, I think our bills came to about $3,400. And we're bringing in about $5,000 a month. And so you would think that we would have like lots of money every month to save, but of course that's not how it usually works out. So as we started our house hunt to find our first house, I knew that I didn't want us to be house poor. And so it was really important for me to find a house where the mortgage wouldn't, with all the rest of our bills, wouldn't put us into a situation where our actual lifestyle would change. So I think we did a pretty good job of finding a home that was within our means, even though we obviously, the banks always approve you for way more than necessary. But during the time frame of like purchasing our home and then moving into our home, I feel like things got a little bit out of control. And I felt like we were spending too much money because we were still keeping up with the lifestyle that we were used to having, as well as making purchases for the home. New furniture, decorations, stuff like that. And it was making it feel tight and like we were living paycheck to paycheck. And neither one of us liked that. So I started looking into the Dave Ramsey Total Money Makeover, and I actually ended up with the book and the workbook from my friend Jen, and I started reading it a couple of months ago. I kind of already knew like the basic premise of it. I've actually taken financial courses twice about how to, like, you know, get out of debt and stuff like that. So I know the basic concept of Dave Ramsey is the baby step system, where you save $1,000 is baby step number 1. Baby step number 2, I believe, is the debt snowball, and then, you know, so on and so forth. So what Jonathan and I want isn't exactly Dave Ramsey, because there are some things that we're not willing to give up. And, you know, that may change, but for right now, we still want to keep up our lifestyle, but we want to get out of debt at the same time. And I think it's doable in the way that we want to do it. So we do have a savings account that Jonathan's paycheck automatically deposits money into every Friday. So we have the savings account set aside, that's going. So that's like baby step number 1, the $1,000. That's happening. So the debt snowball was the next step. And for those of you not familiar, basically what it is you write down all of your debt, how much it is, and then you put it in order and you start paying it off. And as you pay off one, it rolls to the next one, and you create a snowball of payments until you are paying things off. So I talked it over with Jonathan, I explained the concept to him, and he was totally on board. And so let me show you our debt snowball. So what I did was I wrote down every single one of our lines of credit, basically. So mortgage, we have a big capital one, a small capital one, a Lowe's card, a Rooms to Go card, Jonathan's student loan, my capital one, my Bank of America, Lane Bryant, Torrid, and my car. And then I wrote down the balance of everything. And then next to that, I wrote how much we pay every month. And then from there, I wrote down the order of the balances. So number 1 is the highest balance, number 2 is the second highest balance, and so on and so forth until they were all in order. And then I basically just transferred it to here, which is, this is our snowball. So this is our debt and this is our snowball. Now for our snowball, for right now, we are not including the mortgage, the student loan, or my car, because those are like humongous. I feel like I also want to point out that for most of these we paid more than the minimum. $150 for the big capital one was more than the minimum, and that's how much we pay every single month. These, for my credit cards, I would occasionally pay more than the minimum, but it wasn't consistent, so I just wrote down what the minimum was. So then it came to our actual snowball. So from there, I wrote down the order that this goes in. The lowest one first. Now, there's different ways to do the snowball. Some people prefer to do it by like interest rate or something like that. So it's gonna be different for everyone, but this is what works for us. I wrote it down in the lowest balance to the highest balance, not including those 3 that I said we weren't gonna focus on right now. So after I wrote them all down, I put the payoff amount. So Lowe's only had $50 left, and we normally pay $100. So that was actually we just went ahead and paid that one off. So that one's actually done. So that was the first step on our debt snowball, which is exciting. The next one is gonna be my Bank of America. So what you do with the snowball, I'm gonna explain a little bit more about the snowball. Just one second, I just wanna finish showing all these. So I actually went and put like how long the payments and what days we might be paying them off, etc. So based on this, if we follow everything, we will be out of debt minus those 3 that I said, the 3 that I already said, in May of 2020. So next May. So like just over a year. So what the actual snowball is like, for example, we pay $100 to Lowe's every month. So we paid it off in January, and so the next one on our snowball list was my Bank of America. So I normally pay $25 to Bank of America and $100 to Lowe's. So instead of taking that $100 that we now have free because we paid off the Lowe's, instead of taking that money and putting it back in our checking account, you apply it to your debt snowball. So when I made my payment in February for my Bank of America, I paid $125. And then you just do that until it's paid off. So it's 3 payments to pay off my Bank of America. My last payment will be in April. So I move on to the next. So I have the $125 and I take it and apply it to the next debt in my snowball, which is gonna be my Capital One. And then you do the same thing. So you take the $25 minimum payment, for my Capital One, plus the 125 free money that you have. You apply it, and so I'm paying 150, and then that'll get paid off in, I think, 2 payments. And then I'll have $150 from there, and the next one is rooms to go, and the same thing. So we pay $100 towards rooms to go. Now I have this 150, so we're gonna be paying, so then we'll be paying $250 to rooms to go, and that'll be paid off in like 2 payments or whatever. And actually, it looks like by the time we get down to rooms to go in like June, it'll already be paid off because it only has like $400 left on it. And so we'll just cross that one off the list, and we'll have $250 to apply to the next one, and just so on and so forth. And that's how it becomes a debt snowball. The important thing is you have to be obviously really diligent and not letting yourself spend that extra money, because it feels like, you know, you have this free money because you paid off this debt, but that's the whole point of the debt snowball. It's not spending the money. So it looks like if everything works out, our next one should be paid off in April. So my Bank of America, my last payment should be April 2nd. And so I think at that point, it'll be a couple months, and we can come back and maybe reevaluate at that point and see if there's any changes that I've made, or if we're still staying course to this original plan. So at the end of this snowball, we'll actually have at least $600 every month, that then we can then decide if we want to maybe do the same thing with my car note or his student loans, you know, or the house or whatever. Definitely we'll have to reevaluate it from there, but those are like our main priorities, is to get rid of all of that like miscellaneous credit card debt. Now, it is important that while you're doing this, that you're not adding to your balances. So from now on, we are not using our cards anymore. We didn't cut them up, mostly because it's kind of a security blanket. I mean, I feel like we could probably cut up like the Torrid and, you know, the Lane Bryant, because there's no like fashion emergency where you have to run out and you have to spend money on those cards. But things like the Lowe's card, like that could potentially be an emergency, or, you know, like the big Capital One and stuff like that, the ones that have the big balances. You might actually have an emergency where you need to pay for things with that. But as of right now, we haven't cut up any cards, and we're not going to be closing any of the accounts because those do negatively impact your credit score. And so that's kind of how, one of the ways that we're going against the Dave Ramsey, is because he feels like you should cut them up, and just like live off of like rice and beans and save all of your money. But we still want to be able to like enjoy ourselves. We're still allowing ourselves a weekly spending allowance, you know, like fun money and all that. So it kind of is built off the principle of Dave Ramsey, but it's not Dave Ramsey. It's the Harrison's Total Money Makeover. I really hope that I was able to make sense with this video. Like I said, I'm brand new to this whole thing, so I apologize if it's kind of like confusing. If you have any questions for us about this whole process, definitely leave them down below. I'll answer them to the best of my ability. If you want to see more of these videos, make sure you hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next time. Bye. $244 even, 40.